And welcome back to Subculture After Dark. Well, you know by now that we've been very, very excited about a very special tour that is happening here in Australia. Of course, we've already spoke to the ocean, we've spoken to Rivers of Nile, and now we're going to be chatting to the headliners of this amazing tour. We've actually got Tim on the phone right now from Obliviscaris. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you very much for having me. Very excited for the tour coming up.
Mate, this is an absolutely amazing lineup. It's the first time, of course, that you guys have also done a tour in 4 years. How are you feeling about getting back out there and playing in front of Australian fans again?
I'm really excited. It's, I guess, a bit of an unusual situation in that normally we tour Australia at least every 12 months, 18 months at the most, being an Australian band. But, because of the pandemic and, other such things, it's been this really long delay. So for us, that gives us this anticipation of this tour, kind of quite like any other Australian tour we've ever had, because we've never been this long between shows here in Australia. So it's going to be really exciting to reconnect with all our Aussie fans.
And of course, you've got an amazing lineup alongside you as well, with the Ocean and Rivers of Nile as well. How do you feel about touring with such powerful acts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a real privilege, really. Whenever we do our Australian tours, we handpick bands that we love, that we want to tour with, and that was the case with both the Ocean and Rivers of Nile, both bands that we're big fans of ourselves, and just as such a big music fan myself, it's such a cool thing to be able to hit up bands that I personally really enjoy and go on the road with them, and then I get to kind of be a fan and catch some of their sets each night as well, just like everybody else.
And one of the things that probably shows just how the popularity of your band has increased over the last few years is you're playing at bigger venues this time around as well. Has that got you pretty excited?
Yeah, it has. It's been one of those things where, I never really thought that we would be able to play some of the venues that we're doing on this tour. I mean, like the Tivoli in Brisbane is amazing, and I guess the other one that's a big step up is the Forum in Melbourne, which is probably my favourite venue to watch bands at in the whole country. And I never really thought that. I mean, I always dreamed about playing there, but I thought it would be as a support band. So it's very cool to be doing our own tour, playing such great venues, and just having the support of the Australian public to the degree that we do.
Being a Victorian boy, I have to ask, what is it that you love about the Forum as a live venue?
Oh, just such a beautiful atmosphere, and
Yeah.
I guess the other thing is that some venues take on a bit of an atmosphere, one through the venue itself, but also just who you've seen play there. I've just seen so many of my favorite bands play at the Forum over a good 20-year period, and when you've had venues like that, it's definitely a special thing to be able to then hop up on that stage yourself.
With the amazing architecture that's in that place, like all around the stage and everywhere, I'm surprised more bands haven't actually used that for live video clips and things.
Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely beautiful, without a doubt. I mean, I guess, I guess a lot of bands, if they're coming to Australia, maybe they don't realize how great it is.
Yeah, yeah. That
But I
roof
think,
is just
we'll
amazing.
definitely. Yeah, I think we'll definitely make sure we bring some cameras along to capture as much of it as we can, for sure, though.
Definitely. Now, this has been an amazing year for you guys. Not only is it your 20th anniversary, but also off the back of this album, a lot of people are saying this album is hands down album of the year. How does that sit with you? Does that make you feel a little bit more nervous about this tour, or does that add to the excitement knowing that there's probably going to be people coming along to these shows that have never seen you play live before?
Yeah, it just makes me more excited. Look, we did a tour through Europe in May, and the thing that kind of stunned me, I think we were in London, and I, set out to the crowd, who's who's seeing us for the first time, and it was like 2/3 of the crowd. And we played in London many, many times over about 8 years or so, the last 8 years, and so I was just shocked at how many like brand new people had been discovering us, which was really exciting. And I think that's what's kind of what has happened with the new album Exile since that came out earlier in the year, and it's just connected really well. And we always just keep striving to experiment with the stuff that we write, and also just to keep learning and growing as musicians and artists. To learning about how we're recording and the production and the mixing and mastering and all these different elements, so that the final version of each record can be closer and closer to the artistic vision that we have. And I definitely feel that Exile is the closest to that. I'm definitely very proud of it, and it's just been wonderful that people have been connecting with it as well, because all you can do as an artist is make sure that you love what you release, and then you just kind of cross your fingers that people agree. And thankfully there's been a decent number of people that agree that it's a good record, and they've been turning up to the show, so that's been made it just a really fun year for us.
Like I said, people have actually labelled it as one of the albums of the year. Has that reception surprised you? Like, it's a pleasant surprise, but has it surprised you?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I say no. Well, I say yes because you never expect anyone to say anything over the top like that about your record. Having said that, the reason I say no as well is, I'm really proud of it. I really love it. So yeah. I think it's great. But of course, I love all our albums. I'm probably a bit biased. So when someone says that they really love it, especially when they, sometimes I will talk to a fan and they'll reference certain sections that being really powerful to them, and I'm like, yeah, me too. Like, that's the bit that for me, when I was writing that bit, or when one of the guys sent me that bit for the first time and I'm listening to it, I was going, wow, this is incredible. I'm very passionate about what we do. And so I think that it's just such a wonderful thing when people connect with that. So it's that kind of dual thing of like when people say something really wonderful like that, you just take it as a really nice bit of feedback.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the other thing that I always try to keep in mind is, not to take to heart too much what people say, like the top 10% and the bottom 10%.
Yep.
Because if you listen like too intently to some of those comments, maybe you get a bit full of yourself. But on the other hand, if you listen to the bottom 10% of people who don't think your band's any good, then maybe you want to quit. So, I'm kind of aware of what people say about the band, but mostly it's just kind of, I guess, gratitude for when people offer something nice for what we do, and then really just staying true to, whether we love it. And if we love it, that's enough. And then if people turn up to the shows, that's incredible.
It's one of those albums where every single track is just absolutely amazing. How many of the tracks off the new album will we hear live on this tour?
Most of them, basically. I
Awesome.
mean, it's been so long since we've played, and we really just we had such a tough time trying to work out the set list, because we did pretty much want to play everything off Exile, and then it was like, well, we also want to play something off each of the other records as well. And I mean, the end result is just a pretty big show. Our set's about 100 minutes long, and that was kind of the only way to make sure we could play a whole bunch of new stuff as well as stuff from all the other records. And we think the set has a really great balance of that. And so for anyone who loves the new album, you'll get to hear a whole bunch of it, as well as some of the our favorite tracks off the other records as well.
Reaching that 20-year mark as well, that is a huge milestone. I know I've said to other bands before that, being a music journalist, I've seen bands come and go over the years, and some bands haven't even made it to their second or third year. How does that make you feel, reaching that 20-year milestone?
Yeah, it feels a little bit surreal, to be honest, because I think, normally when I see a band reaching 20 years, I feel like it's a band that's been around forever. And then I kind of realized, well, 20 years is kind of forever. But I think the weird thing for us is that, we didn't release our first album for 9 years. And then it wasn't really until 2014 when Citadel came out, our second record, that we started garnering like significant international attention. And, it was only on that album we got like a bigger record label and, booking agents to go to Europe and the USA and things like that. And so, that's like 11 years into our career. And so at that point, it was still very much like a hobby. And I remember at that time, my daughter had just been born like a year or two before. And, I thought, well, maybe I might need to deprioritize this band because, we'd never made $1 off it. And, we weren't really that big and not that many people knew us. And there's only so much you can put into like a hobby like that.
Yeah.
And so I think that the incredible thing has been that over the last 8 or 9 years, really just everything has kept getting bigger and better with every record. It feels like pretty much we've been doubling in size every album that comes out, which has just been incredible. So I think the thing that I think of most is that, when Zen and I first met, which was September 2003, exactly 20 years from the time of this coming tour, that feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that really strikes me is that it feels like we've still got so much more to offer. There's so many creative ideas. I think so many albums still to come, and so many tours to look forward to for us and for fans. So it definitely feels like we're kind of just hitting our stride, which is, I think, a nice place to be, considering the amount of time it's taken us to get here.
Now, I know we are running out of time, so just 2 quick questions. First of all, where to after the tour? Are you guys already starting to work on the next album, or are you going to take a little bit of a break after this tour?
Neither. We haven't really started much work on the next record yet, but we don't get a break. Pretty much we come home for about 2.5 weeks, and then it's straight off to the US and Canada for 31 shows over there.
Wow.
We've got a 6-week tour in October, November, which is going to be really exciting. That's over with Beyond Creation, and then we're bringing the Omnific with us as well, opening that tour in the US. And then, next year, we're trying to work out how to get to book a tour for Latin America for the first time. We still want to get back and do another Asian headline tour because we haven't been there in a few years. Already thinking about, getting back to Europe next year. So, really just very busy, I guess, continuing to tour in behind of Exile. And then, but definitely, we probably have a few months off at home over the summer, and I think at that point, we might sit down and start writing some stuff. We already have quite a few ideas in the works, but maybe we might sit down a bit more seriously and start putting some things together to plan for the next one.
That's amazing. Well, mate, to finish off the interview, what would you like to say to people out there who are heading along to these shows on this amazing tour?
Get down there early. Basically, some people will do that anyways. They'll be very well aware that the ocean and rivers of Nile are amazing. Both of them are they're rotating main support on this tour because they're kind of both incredible. So I would just get down there at doors. Both of them are playing 50-minute sets. The first band's on 30 minutes after doors open, which is 6:30 doors open, I think, for each of the shows. So make sure to get down there because I don't think you want to miss any of the 3 bands. And just thanks for everyone for sticking with us and still, caring so passionately about what we do, 20 years down the track after we first started this crazy journey.